You throw over $1,000 a month into local wishing wells.
Of course, you idiot, because I'm wishing for more money.
This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenberger and Bart Steidler.
All right, welcome back to Keep Your Money Show. Jamie Westenberger, joined as always by Bart Steidler. Programming note, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of, if you regularly listen to the show, next week, May 11th, the Keeping Your Money Show will not be heard at our normal time here on ESPN. We will be heard instead from 1 to 2 p.m., and that is in... because of the Riverbank Run. 96.1 will be airing coverage of the Riverbank Run during our normally scheduled time. So just a 1 week adjustment. We will be moving to 1 to 2 o'clock on the May 11th show, and then going back to our regular time after that. So if you just can't stand missing a week of us, I would recommend you tune in later. Or, of course, you can always find the show on our website. Go to keepingyourmoney.com or any of our podcast partners like iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, or Stitcher. Just search for the Keeping Your Money Show.
I had a friend tell me that she got one of these high-tech bikes that, you hook up to the internet with. Pendleton or something. Peloton, yes. And
that is not a promotion for Peloton.
That's not a promotion or an endorsement. But she told me that she's going to start listening to the Keeping Your Money Show while she does her Peloton workouts.
Awesome.
And I guess that's because Richard Simmons isn't around anymore to sweat to the oldies, so she can work out to the Keeping Your Money Show and get in shape and get financially educated at the same time.
You can get fit both ways.
That's right.
I don't know how motivating will be if you're riding your bike, but best of luck to you. We'll try and keep it upbeat.
Well, that kind of goes into one of the topics that we're going to be covering here next about future retirees facing longer life expectancy and a smaller safety net. But it does, in this article, it talks about the relationship between being healthy and physically fit, and also being that those people tend to be have a better financial plan and have their finances in better order.
Well, and I think a lot of times, not to over psychoanalyze anyone, but if you
Dr. Jamie,
the doctor is in. I'm like Lucy, just drop a nickel in there and I'll psychoanalyze you. But no, I think if you're in good financial shape, you feel better about your situation in your life, you're probably more likely to take better physical care of yourself, and vice versa. If you're not taking very good physical care of yourself, you're probably not paying attention to other things that are of importance too. Plus, living unhealthily is expensive. If you're regularly eating out at fast food places and your health is suffering, we all know what copays and deductibles look like. So if you're regularly visiting medical facilities, that's expensive. It's not cheap to do that. So it would make sense that those two things tie together. But, we were talking earlier about this idea of, really having to be aware of what the people around you are doing to prepare for retirement. And sadly, almost half of them are doing nothing. And it plays into, even if you are doing what you're supposed to do, how will that affect your retirement? And I think that ties into this money article really well that comes from U.S. News. And it just talking about how your retirement is going to be different than previous generations, whether it be your parents or your grandparents. And one of those is, the onus is on us now, right? It's personal responsibility to be prepared for retirement. Well, unfortunately, in the last few decades as a country, we have proven that personal responsibility is not something that we're very good at in a lot of regards. And so because of that, there is no safety net. The government safety net is questionable. The work safety net is many times not there because there is no pension and it's completely on you. And so because of that, it's going to really change the way retirement looks for many people. And that's something that we have to definitely consider, even if we are planning properly, of what's going to happen. There are a lot of changes. One of the biggest things we need to consider is in 2017, across the world, there were almost 1 billion people age 60 or older, which, by the way, is a 5-fold increase over the previous couple decades. Okay, because I think, 1950. 1950, there were 205 million people over 60. Last 2 years ago, there was 1 billion people. By 2050, the group is estimated to be about 2.1 billion. So 2.1 billion people in this world will be not of working age. That's a big drain on the economy. That's a big drain on a lot of things, especially when in this country, many of those people are not planning properly and do not have the proper financial safety nets there to protect them.
So, how is that going to affect Social Security? How is that going to affect the amount of caregivers and places for caregivers to take care of people? How is that going to affect housing for seniors? All of these things, you're going to have this big balloon of need that is not going to be ongoing, but you're going to have a big balloon of need in a lot of different areas, and a lot of people aren't prepared for it.
Yeah. And sadly, the one way that's going to tie into many of us that are prepared for it is in higher taxes. We're going to see a much larger percentage of other people's basic needs being covered by those of us who have prepared. And that's going to have a big impact on, even if you retired 20 years ago with $1 million, all right, with what interest rates were, with what inflation was, all of those types of things, you could have very easily probably lived on about 60,000 of that a year without really posing any threat to the principal that you had saved originally. On top of that, you'd have Social Security. You very well may even have a pension or a small portion of a pension. Fast forward to today, if you retire with $1 million with extremely low interest rates, with rising tax rates, with the cost of housing and things like that going up, the cost of medical care is just, through the roof. It's a much different world. Even if you index that $1 million for inflation and call it 1.4 or 1.5, it's still very, very different lifestyle than what it was even just 20 years ago for that same kind of number.
Yeah. Another thing they talk about is that, a lot of the, as the era of the pension fades away, that a lot of retirees don't know how to invest for retirement. And like we said before, investing for retirement is different from investing pre-retirement.
Yeah.
It says here, more retirees must prepare for their retirement years on their own, yet only 30% of the current or future retirees have demonstrated significant sufficient financial knowledge to make informed decisions about savings and investing for retirement. You don't know about the things that are out there on your own. Most people don't. Some of them do, but a lot of them do not know, and because they don't know the different vehicles that are there to help provide a consistent source of income for them, to help them beat the inflation problem, to help them prepare for the tax situation that's coming in the future in their retirement.
Well, and I think too, in this age of readily available information, pseudo education, and I call it pseudo because who's doing the educating will determine whether it's really education or not. Mm-hmm. You can find 1 million articles on what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. Who those articles are written by and why they're writing them and what their end game really is can be determined. But the other thing is we've kind of come up with this idea that one of the most complex things you're ever going to do in your life, just think about it like this. Before we all started saving for our own retirement, okay, your company had a pension. That pension board was made up of dozens of people, many times whose only job was to make sure that the money they promised you was going to be available to you, okay? Some of them failed, even though that was their only job. And many of them had MBAs, had all kinds of resources, had all the reasons in the world to be good at what they did, and they failed, okay? And we can discuss why, that's a whole show in itself. Right. My point being, though, now we have flipped that over to it's your responsibility, and part-time, when you have a chance, you should be on Google reading articles that will then tell you how to do that successfully. I mean, that's absurd. That would be literally like saying we used to do open heart surgery with experienced medical doctors, and sometimes people died. But you know what? There's so much technology out there now. We just don't really need the surgeons. I mean, we can pretty much do this ourselves. I mean, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd to think a guy who goes to work every day and manages a widget factory is going to retire and immediately know how to provide income for him and his family for his entire retirement in an extremely complex world now that involves all kinds of different things. But yet every national news story you hear about it tries to simplify it to the most. All you have to do is this. All you have to do is this. Don't ever buy this. Always buy that. You know, it's not that simple. Some calculator on Fidelity's website is not going to give you all the answers on how you can walk a little green line to retirement. That's not how it works. I mean, it's absurd to even think it would.
Yeah, and in real life, when you're walking around town, do you ever see that green line?
No. I think I would follow it, though, because they never really show you where the green line ends up.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the Yellow Brick Road. Who is the wizard behind the curtain? That's what we really want to know.
Yeah.
But I mean, seriously, I know that a lot of you that listen to our show are very smart people. I don't doubt that for a second, but I'm really smart too, and I don't draw up my own legal documents. You know, there are people who are really good at that. We're really good at this. I'm really good at taking that money you've worked so hard for to save and make sure it will provide the income you and your family need when you are retired. To try and do that on your own is insane. It makes no sense whatsoever. It is not as easy. I promise you it's not easy. We don't work the hours we work. You know, staying here, figuring out complex equations, doing our due diligence on money management strategies. And I mean, if it were that easy, why does every financial advisor work full time? I'd work part time too, because obviously you can just figure it out. Like, I mean, it's just part time. You just, you know, in a couple hours a week, you got it all figured out.
Yeah.
So, all right, coming up, we're going to talk about how your adult children might be costing you your retirement savings. Our own Nate Boodster will stop in for that right here on the Keeping Your Money Show.
The stock market has seen a great deal of volatility lately. If you are concerned and would like to review your portfolio with a professional, call the Keeping Your Money Show at 1-888-986-6639. Our team of experienced advisors can help you decide whether your portfolio is appropriate for your personal situation, which includes your goals, your age, your assets and income, your liabilities, and your tolerance for risk. Call us at 1-888-98-MONEY or visit us at keepingyourmoney.com today.